Hellmaster EX. This award-winning system features the first single-engine joystick with digital electric steering and new autopilot capability. See Hellmaster EX in action at a Yamaha Outboard dealer or visit YamahaOutboards.com.
Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's July 25th. These are your headlines. First and foremost, we've got tuna south of Block Island again. Also hearing about lots of bonito showing up over the last week. And the Canal had a good week for striped bass. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. The first one comes to us from the Fisherman's own Jenni Ackerman. Here's her latest installment of Open Boat.
Hey everyone! Now on this week's Open Boat, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We all just got back from ICAST. I missed you guys. So we're going to be doing a Q&A. So you guys can ask me any fishing questions that you might have. What I want you guys to do is drop them in the comments section of just the solo Open Boat episode that airs on Sunday at 6 p.m. Don't put it in the video fishing forecast one. Save those comments for giving praises to the editors. But when it comes out on Sunday, you can drop a question. And we're going to do a follow-up Open Boat where I answer your questions, and you might even get a solo Open Boat devoted to just me answering your question. So post any fishing questions you have, whether it could be technical stuff or when can I target this fish or what's the best way to catch it, and we're going to do a follow-up video. But in between, we have a ton of awesome interviews, new fluking tactics that are producing well off the surf, and some other Open Boat content that I'm really looking forward to show you guys. So remember to post your fishing question in the solo Open Boat video, and I can't wait to see all the questions you guys have. I'm very excited to answer them, and I'll catch you guys on next week's Open Boat.
August 24th and 25th on Long Island Sound. WICC Surfside Hotel Greatest Bluefish Tournament on Earth. $25,000 for the heaviest catch, plus additional prizes equaling $40,000. Sign up now at bluefishtournament.com.
Next thing, of course, is the giveaway, which wraps up this week. And after much deliberation, I have picked a winner. This is Peter Gray with an awesome picture of him with a nice striped bass taken on a spook style plug. And you guys know I'm a sucker for a photo that sort of captures the essence of catching a good fish. Well, this photo, the first time I saw it, I felt like I could hear it. You know what I mean? The guy's super fired up. It's a nice fish, and the excitement is palpable. So he's going to get the flat glide needlefish. I'm going to contact him over the next couple days here. And we'll start another giveaway right now. I'm going to do a glide bait. Haven't decided what color yet, but maybe I'll debut it here in a picture. I'll go home and pick one out. But we're going to wrap this one up. The next lure will be given away on Halloween, if you can believe it. So you got the rest of July, you got August, September, and October to impress me with a nice photo. You guys know the drill by now. It's going to show you holding your fish, and it's got to be emailed or texted to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or the number here on the screen. And the other thing, you just got to give me the pertinent details, like who caught it, where it was caught, how big it was, that kind of thing. Send it in, we'll get you in the report, we'll get you in the video, we'll get you in the magazine, and maybe, just maybe, you'll win.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Moving over into the reports now. There's still good striped bass activity coming out of Maine right now, and along the New Hampshire coast as well. We're also seeing some tuna activity off of New Hampshire. I'm sure most of you guys saw the video, but we'll put it up here. Just a little reminder of why you need to be careful around feeding whales. Here we've got a humpback that decides to try to board the boat with this guy, ejecting 2 passengers. Luckily, no one was seriously injured, but it is a sobering reminder that whales are big, and you need to be very aware of where they are if you're near them when they're feeding and breaching. I've been too close a couple times, and strangely exhilarating, but also frightening. So definitely want to respect the whales. Drop it down over the border now. We're going to check in with James Jewkes.
Just making a stop before work out here on the Merrimack. I'm not sure if you can see it, but we have a hatch going on. The bugs are everywhere out here. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. It is everywhere. Anyways, right in the reports, the freshwater guys, they seem to be catching all right. Little lull in the weather department. A couple of fronts moving through. Striper guys, they're catching. North of us in New Hampshire, up near the Piscataqua, the boat guys are on fire out there. It is big biomass out there. They're just having a blast. Surf guys are still doing well up there as well. They're also over into Gloucester. There's also another biomass that's cooking along over there. The commercial guys are just really doing numbers. Don't blame them. They're following the rules as best they can. I did see a couple of guys get caught in New Hampshire catching fish going into Mass. So, follow the rules, please. Other than that, the fishing has been pretty good. I haven't caught any giants. I did find some slot fish, which was fun and good to see. Finally got off those 40-inch fish. But other than that, we're all good. All right, catch them up.
Moving out of Plum Island down into Boston Harbor. Checked in with Danny Parma this week from Fish Bucket Sport Fishing, and he said the size of the fish has gone down a little bit for striped bass in the harbor over the last couple weeks, but they're still seeing great numbers of fish up to about 40 inches. And he said Mojos are getting it done for them this week. Chartreuse was doing well, white was the second best, and just really good numbers of fish and some solid fish, just none of those real giants that they were getting a few weeks ago. Moving out of that area in the peripheral spots, I have been hearing about some good surf fish from like Marblehead and Scituate and some of the other sort of rocky towns in that area. Most of these fish are being caught on live eels, but I've been hearing about some soft plastics, needlefish, and darters getting it done there as well. Crossing over the canal out onto the bay side of the Cape, we are hearing about some a similar bite to what's happening in Boston Harbor. Similar sizes, maybe a few, a little bit bigger, but it's not Mojos. They're snapping wire. They're doing it with live eels. They're doing it with rubber eels, and there's been some topwater action at first and last light. So you can do that like squirting ledge. You can do that, going along Sandy Neck and just looking for those roving schools of summer bass that are usually out there. You can head up to Billingsgate. You can head up to Race Point. You got opportunity to find those fish in all those places. Rounding the point, heading along the beaches, there's been some bluefish out there in the like 6 to 10 pound class. Been some striped bass up to, in the upper 30-inch class, let's say, along that region. A few bigger fish taken from the surf, and it seems like First Light has been producing some good fish for the surf crowd out there throwing topwater. So that's something you can do if you're out there on vacation, or if you live out there, maybe just do a couple morning patrols. You might find a good fish on a pencil. Heading out down toward Monomoy, same thing's been going on for weeks. We're seeing solid fish in that area. You can do it on soft plastics, you can do it on jigs, you can do it on topwaters. And that bite extends out to Nantucket as well. On the fluke end of things, we are seeing some nice fish coming off of Nantucket Shoal. Inside Vineyard Sound, it's been smaller fish overall, but you can scratch out some keepers, especially fishing some of those deeper holes or some of those hard ledges out there, moving out more toward the islands as well. On the striped bass end of things, Martha's Vineyard has had mostly smaller fish, a few good ones, especially for the boat guys. A few fish up into the 30-pound class, but most of these fish are on the smaller side. This is one of the areas though we're seeing lots of those bonito. Now these bonito are on the smaller side. Some of them is palm sized. Probably the biggest ones that I've been hearing about maybe up to like 24 inches. So I'm not talking about giants here, but it is the first wave of exotic species moving in, which is exciting. And if we look at the last 2 or 3 years, we're only 2-3 weeks away from the first albies probably showing up in that area. So it's getting to be that time of year to get excited. So make sure you got your albie snacks and your epoxy jigs ready to go, because there's already bonito here, and before you know it, probably going to be chasing some albies around. Pushing through the islands up toward the canal. The canal had a good week, and we'll hear more about that from East End Eddie.
Good morning, Dave. Got an incoming east tide here this morning on the world-famous Cape Cod Canal. The fog is starting to burn off, but it was as thick as my wife's spaghetti sauce for a while there. So the full moon has brought in some breaking fish. For the last few days, every 15 minutes from 5:30 in the morning to about 7, we got medium-sized schools breaking. And at 6 a.m. one morning toward the east end, we had a blitz for about 3 hours where a lot of guys were catching fish, mostly slots, but up to 39 inches. Chuck Coca-Cola Kid Franks caught a 31-inch and 33-inch on his white spook that they hit hard. And Jimmy Kelly landed a slot with his yellow striper gear rocket. And slap shot Scotty Ewell caught a slot with his white pencil. And one of the best fishermen in the canal, Breaking Bob Ware, landed a 20-pounder with his white spook. So the next day I was fishing in between about 40 guys. We're casting into breaking fish. These fish are very finicky. A lot of times during this whole time, a lot of guys didn't catch any, but that particular day, I was catching, and I was casting right into the middle of them, and like many other lures, they were turning their nose up to it. But as the current moved my lure off to the side of the boiling water, a bluefish hit my tail hook on my striper gear white rocket. And what a fight that was. 10-pound bluefish. He's dancing on the surface like a toppin and doing an aerial display. And so when I finally reeled him in, he was 36 inches and he was great on the grill. And right next to me, a little bit down, was Vinny the Patriot Rosada, who caught a 32-inch striper. He was the only one that caught a striper out of that whole group of guys. And that was a nice healthy fish, the 32-inch that Vinny caught. And so the other day we had a memorial service for a great departed canal rat, Bill Lytle. We called him Wild Bill. And a bunch of us went to his favorite pole, 245 on the Cape side, had a little service, and said goodbye to Bill. He was a terrific guy. I actually wrote a story on Bill some time ago. He was a big guy. He had long hair and a beard. He looked like a mountain man, but he had a heart of gold. Great guy. And a guy came up real close to him one time, a new guy, and Bill did what we all do. We politely explained to the guy about, crossed lines and tangled lines, and asked the guy to leave. And he was nice, but Bill was nice to him, but the guy just wouldn't leave. So finally Bill, who I said looks like a mountain man, looks at this guy and says, "Don't make me go back to prison." That guy was last seen running down the service road in the eastbound. But anyway, rest in peace, Bill. He was a great guy. And so my tip of the week is that when you're on your bike and you're passing somebody, I have a little bell on my handlebar I ring just so people in front of me know I'm coming. If you don't have a bell or a horn or something, just say, on your left or something, because a lot of times guys are on a bike and they're kind of daydreaming in front of you. They're going slow and they'll cut right in front of you without really even thinking about it. So just make sure people behind you know that you're coming. Until next week, catch a big one.
Heading out into Buzzards Bay, there's been some fluke activity in the eastern part of Buzzards Bay, and then as you get further out west, there's been really good sea bass activity. Whether you want to fish off of Westport, or you want to head out more toward like Cuttyhunk, or you want to head out and maybe even cross over into Rhode Island waters, the sea bass bite has been good, and there's been some really nice sized fish out there. So that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week. Crossing over into Rhode Island now, we'll start things off with an East Bay report from TJ Kopecky.
Thanks, Steve. Hey guys, nice to be back. Got a quick video for a little bit of East Bay and some my whole Bay of Massachusetts. Things are kind of status quo from like last week. There's still some great ground fishing all the way from Mount Hope Bay, I'd say from Common Fence Point up to Saconnet, and then around out to like Prudence by Hog Island Lighthouse. There's some nice fluke. I got a good report of some nice fluke on the Hog Island Shoal on the sandy side over there. There's a great little ledge that you can fish that leads into Bristol Harbor that goes up a nice sandy point, and that's on the east side, the east-south side of Hog Island, which would kind of be adjacent to the lighthouse there. Try fishing some gulp up that ledge or along that ledge even if you can. And you might do well on some nice fluke. There's been a lot of fluke in the area. They're not all huge, but there are some of those 19 inches in the mix. And if you get out there and put the time in on your boat, and you will do well with that. There's also some good scup fishing and an occasional nice sea bass in the mix underneath the Mount Hope Bridge. Getting over on the other side of Hog Island towards into the mouth of Bristol Harbor. There's still some pogies over there. There's still bass on them. There's good opportunities for bass. And now you got bluefish into the mix. Bluefish is starting to trickle into the East Bay. Not as much as you're getting them in the West Bay. I saw some guys doing really well in the west end of the bay with bluefish, but they haven't gotten up into the Barrington Beach area, the mouth of the Warren River, Cold State Park. There are an occasional bluefish mixed in, but the numbers aren't there yet. So just be prepared with a little bit more of a leader on your line if you're fishing from shore or from a boat. And I had another opportunity. I fished from Fort Adams this previous weekend, and I did well again with fluke, just right from shore. And again, I utilized that shore provision where you can keep 2 fish at 17.5 inches. The rest have to be the 19 inch. But I got to tell you, it was catching a lot of fluke. A lot of them were short, I get it, but I was still catching, and I still had a great time, and that's what fishing's all about. So for this week, I just think that July is almost over. We're going to be getting into August, and I think some of the patterns are going to change with a lot more bait moving out. Days are getting shorter. We don't want to think about that, but the days are getting shorter, and those fish are going to start feeding a little bit heavier. So I hope everybody does well this week, and tight lines. We'll catch you next week.
Now the Dream Boat Fishing Challenge entries for the week. We had 2 fluke entries. The first entry is from New England subscriber Lori Macha of Baltic, Connecticut, weighing in at 11.46 pounds, placing her in 6th. And then there's Joseph Kalo, a Long Island subscriber from Paterson, New York, with his fluke coming in at 10.2 pounds, placing him in 7th in the fluke category. In the sea bass category, we have New England subscriber Eric Husbo from Falmouth, Massachusetts, weighing in at 4.4 pounds, which places him in first place. Long Island subscriber Ken Sparks weighs in his sea robin at 2.3 pounds, placing him in sixth. The leaderboard now looks like this. Scott Waterman with 17 points. Anthony Savino dropped a point with 15. Brian Zembretsky at 13 points. Plenty of time to enter your fish to win the Steigercraft powered by Yamaha and other great prizes. But you must be a Fisherman subscriber to enter. We can't stress enough that those weigh-in forms must be completely filled out. Please make sure before you leave the weigh station to look over the form to make sure they are correct. We have one new entry in the Coastal Kayak Clash. Gregory Vergare of Long Island caught this 17.25-inch porgy just a quarter inch short of Justin Oser's. So the standings remain the same. Bob Wagner and Justin Oser are still stuck in a virtual tie at the top with 9 points apiece. Mike Radzuzinski is in third place, still within striking distance with 6 points. For all the details and how to enter, visit thefisherman.com/contests.
Now, the main thing that has people excited in Rhode Island waters right now is the tuna bite. Seems like that algae bloom that was really dirtying things up south of the island has cleared. And now we're seeing a rush of tuna moving in, which has been great to see. Now, we are seeing a wide range of sizes. I've even seen some, smaller size fish, like, mid 30-inch class up into the low 40-inch class fish, which gets some guys excited to go do it on some lighter stand-up gear. But be warned, there are also giants out there, and there are also, fish in the 50, 60-inch class out there. So you got to be prepared to do battle with all different things. I guess you just have to find the right school when you get out there. But there have been some really nice fish caught out there, and it's been exciting because we just have not seen the numbers of tuna that we've seen at this time of the year for several years in a row now. So a lot of guys are excited about that. Moving back towards shore, I know Jeff Sullivan was out there this week. Let's check in with him. Here he is.
What's up, guys? What's going on, Dave? So I got a quick little video for you guys this week regarding the offshore side of things. The bluefin bite is going off like crazy right now. The chatter streaker jigs and the Ronzis are the two main things that they're hitting out there. The sand eel bite is going off. There's a lot of tuna slicks. There's a lot of dolphins. There's a lot of life out there. So don't be afraid to go out there, look for some life, drop some jigs to the bottom, vertical jig them, speed jig them. Your chances are very, very high, actually extremely high, to hooking some nice fish. So actually you might be hooking some giants too as well. So just be prepared for that as well if you're going out there to the tuna grounds. With that being said, I went out with my good buddy Captain Rob Taylor of Newport Sport Fishing Charters 2 days ago, and we ended up hooking a giant first drop on light spin tackle, 65-pound braid to 80-pound fluorocarbon leader on a 14K twin power on a Jig and World high pitch rod. It was an epic battle of a lifetime. It was 5 of my buddies on this fish, and it was just a memory I'll have the rest of my life. We had a blast, a lot of laughs, a lot of fish. So there's nothing more you can ask for, But with that being said, guys, make sure you get your permits to go out there. Highly migratory species permit. Make sure you have all your gear ready. Make sure you have your safety equipment. So you always got to watch the weather windows before you go out there, because the weather can turn in a snap of a finger. So if you guys want to trip out there, just make sure you cover all your bases. Make sure everything's good to go. Go have some fun. Go catch yourself a bluefin tuna. It's going on. It's on like Donkey Kong. All right. Peace.
Now let's check in quickly with Captain John Lee from JL Charters.
Hey guys, John Lee, Point Youth, Rhode Island. Had a lot of trips this week. This is definitely the height of summer. The sea bass have really filled in. They've been super helpful. We're getting a lot of big fish at all the usual places. Fluking is kind of tide to tide. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. There are a lot of sharks around, duskies, makos, up close in 100 feet of water, often shallower. The bass bite and the bluefish bite is still kind of not great. I did make one run out to the inshore tuna grounds. I was looking for some wreck size bluefins. The day I went, of course, was the day of no bite. So we basically went on a whale watch trip, saw some minkies, saw a lot of porpoises, got no tunas. The day after, which is today, Wednesday, the bite happened again. So that recreational tuna bite seems to be kind of day to day. Hopefully more fish show up and that gets even better. Anyway, get out there and enjoy it. Take care.
Now, the other thing that's got people fired up in Rhode Island right now is striped bass activity. We're seeing really good bite of stripers off of Newport, off of Jamestown, and off of Narragansett. Those fish typically are topping out, say, 40 to 45 inches. That's sort of the biggest fish that we're seeing in that region. A lot of kayak guys getting in on it. Guys are doing it with live eels. They're doing it with plastic eels. They're doing it. A lot of guys doing it with a tube and worm right now. And if you can find a school of bunker, you probably do it with a flutter spoon as well, and a little top water action at first light. Getting out toward Block Island, there's been some even bigger fish. You definitely got the opportunity to break 50 pounds out there. Live eels and plastic eels have been pretty much the main event out there. We are seeing a few guys throwing some top waters and finding some good fish, but those really big fish are typically coming on the live eels. And that's happening day and night, and the ledge is lit up with fish. And heading along the South County beaches, the striped bass bite along the beaches hasn't been as good over the last week or so. The breachways have been slower. There's not a lot of bait around, and or there's not as much bait around, I should say. And so most of the fish I've been hearing about have been scattered, and maybe some of the better action has been inside the ponds on schoolies to slot size fish. So that's one thing you can do if you just feel like you got to get out there and bend the rod. If you want to chase down a bigger one, I would hop in the boat, head out more toward the Watch Hill Reefs, or go out behind Fishers. There's been some nice fish in that area. And we're also seeing some of those bonito along the beaches here, and really throughout most of Rhode Island. You can stretch it all the way back to the west wall. You can stretch it all the way back to Sakonnet. There have been some bonito around, and some of these schools have had good numbers of fish in them. So, if you want to sort of get that early funny fish itch scratched, now would be a good time to get out there and try to get it done. And that's what I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Crossing over into Connecticut now, the race continues to put out numbers of striped bass and bluefish. For the most part, the stripers have not been gigantic. I've heard of fish up to 40 inches in there, but I think the average is more like 30 to 34 inches in that range. A lot of diamond jig fish being caught out there. A little bit of top water action, especially on the days like today, around the slower water. You're going to get some fish pushing up to the top. Been some bluefish out there up to like 14 pounds, maybe even a few bigger ones than that, which has been cool. You get up toward the Thames River, the porgy bite has been insane. The shore guys are slaying them, the boat guys are crushing them. And there's been good numbers of striped bass in the area as well, which I guess isn't that big of a surprise. They're probably feeding on some of those porgies. You go along the shoreline here, heading more toward the Connecticut River. You get out toward Hatchets, you get out toward Black Point. You're finding some fluke on some of those deeper edges, 70, 80 feet of water. You're finding some decent fluke in there. A lot of porgy activity there also. And a lot of bait on those reefs, which has been a good thing. It's keeping those bass happy. You're still finding a few bluefish and some sea bass in those areas as well. Moving up toward the Connecticut River. Outside the river on the sand shoal, there's still been some fluke around. There's been some bass in that area as well. And for a little bit more on things going on around the mouth of the river, let's check in with Captain Mike Roy from Railcast Charters.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Roy here, and for this week's Fisherman Report, the striped bass fishing remains strong. We're in the summer pattern, so we have residential fish that are set up on the reefs all throughout Long Island Sound. Those big bass are usually going to be taking live bait in the summertime, so if you're fishing at night, live eels is king, and for the daytime bite, the live bunker is going to be productive. There are some bass in the deeper reefs that are going to hit bucktail jigs really well and soft plastics. Also, there's some juvenile herring on the surface and schoolies and some small slot fish feeding on those top order schools of bait fish, so you can do some light tackle casts in there. Sea bass fishing is good on some of the humps. Porgy bite is still good, and fluke fishing, I hear some reports of guys fishing off Rhode Island and Montauk that are getting some decent fluke. It seems to be a lot more shorts than keepers. And also, this is the time of year when we're going to start hearing about sharks. I know I have a report of a brown shark chewing on a striper, and also some mako sharks and thresher sharks being caught as well. So get out there and good luck.
Now let's head up the river and check in with Rowan Lytle.
Hey everybody, with much more stabilized temperatures and the Connecticut River back in a much clearer and cleaner state with far more moderated water temperatures. Looks very good for the coming week, especially over the weekend. The weather's been pretty fantastic. Cloudy days, any of these cloudy days with little showers here and there really get the fish active. The bass will feed on top quite well. Some of your more active presentations like big streamers with fly rods, crankbaits and spinnerbaits with conventional tackle should work pretty well. Of course, the catfish and carp fishing will remain good through any of these windows, and as I mentioned almost every report this time of year, if you get a rain shower up in one of the tributaries, you should have good fishing anywhere near the mouth of that trib.
And finally, we'll take a right out of the river. We'll stop in Westbrook and we'll check in with Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. Full on summer mode out there. We're in the midst of July, so you're going to have better fishing typically for stripers and blues morning and evening. That's kind of the pattern. When that water heats up, they get deeper. But if you do go out during the day, still plenty of stripers and blues to get. Probably going to want to go deeper reefs with spoons, live bunker, throughway eels, stuff like that. That's going to be your best fan there. Also, throughway and bucktails, light bucktail 5 feet back from a weight. Nice easy way to catch some fish there too. As far as ground fish, fluke remains pretty consistent. We've had kind of, at this point in the summer, we can say it's been a good year for fluke for us. So a lot of guys still going out, a lot of shorts being caught, but you're setting the hook and you are getting the occasional keeper. So no complaints there, especially compared to previous years when you weren't setting the hook too much. Sea bass, definitely this time of year, you're going to need to have kind of the ability to move around, check a bunch of different locations. Those main reefs and spots that have, are well known, they've had months of fishing on them at this point. So any sneaky spots you got up your sleeve, it's time to pull them out. And then obviously we expect the sea bass and fluke to kind of heat up as the water cools down, but that's not for, a month and change or so. Other than that, porgies, they're everywhere. Yeah, that's full-blown summer fishing, man. Get out there and have some fun.
Now, if you really want to get out there and get a nice fluke, you're going to definitely want to head to Montauk or Block Island. I forgot to talk about Block Island in the Rhode Island report, but there has been an increase in fluke activity out at Block this week. We've seen some better fish. We've seen some more consistent catches. And the same thing could be said for Montauk. The best fluking that we're seeing inside Long Island Sound, especially for Connecticut fishermen, has been around the mouth of the Connecticut River. But you can find some fish as you head a little bit further west, but they become more and more scattered the further west you go. But the bottom species that have been really good in that region have been fluke and sea bass. Sea bass and scup, I'm sorry, sea bass and porgies. So the ends of these reefs have been putting out fish. If you're looking for sea bass, scup-wise, you can get it done whether you want to fish from shore or boat. You can do it in 10 feet of water. You can do it in 50 feet of water. There's just lots and lots of fish around right now, and the bite has been totally off the hook. If you want to do some Western Sound striper fishing, I would recommend heading further west. I would head more toward New Haven, more toward Milford. You're not probably going to find anything of huge size, but there have been fish up into the low 30-pound class, averaging more around 20 pounds. Chunking has been the way that most guys are getting it done. It's being done from shore and from a boat. The best bite has been at night, and basically targeting 20 to 50 feet of water has been your best bet. For a little bit more on that and some of the other things happening in the Western Sound, let's check in now with Max Finch from Fisherman's World.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with another local fishing report. This past week, we've seen still some really nice stripers taken. This time of year, they're in their summer doldrums. The midday bite's a little slower, but if you are going to go out in the day, we recommend, chunking some deep water reefs, or if you can get your hands on live bunker, three-weighing them places like 11B, 28C, Green Sledge, and Bud's Reef. Nighttime, we're still seeing some nice fish. It's not hot and heavy, but there are still a lot of fish being caught. We've seen fish to like 35 pounds locally this past week, a lot taken on live bunker or bunker chunking. To our east, middle ground still remains consistent, and then to our west, there's still some bass. It's definitely slower, but we are seeing some really big bluefish taken on the troll in the day on umbrellas, you know, deep divers and bunker spoons, places like 32A, trolling from there to the weather buoy mid-sound. That seems to be the best spot to the west. And then in our local waters, you know, deep water straight off the south of the islands and about, you know, 90 to 100 feet trolling, and then diamond jig and 11B on the outgoing. The sea bass bite remains strong. Guys that are going, they are fishing 60 foot or more. So deep water reefs and the wrecks are definitely your best spot. So south of the island, wrecks over 60, you know, places like the Celtic wreck, and then all these scattered wrecks, they're out in like 60 to 100 feet of water. If you have spot lock, that's great. If not, we do sell wreck anchors, and guys that do have wreck anchors are doing good on them. Middle ground still really good for porgies and sea bass also. The porgy bite locally, guys are getting them from shore, the beach, Capt pasture, Sherwood Island, and then on the boats, you know, they're doing really well. Remember to always bring clam chum. That helps, you know, when you're on the boat. And then we're stocked up on sandworms, squid, spearing, and clams. Fluke fishing, you know, got back to the regular schedule program. Slow in our area, you really got to pound. But, you know, there's still our sand eels around. The south, you know, the North Shore of Long Island definitely slowed down a bit. It's not, you know, hot and heavy. There's like 30 shorts to your keeper, but you do got to pound these areas to do find a limit. Gulp works wood this time of year, and then, you know, places like Port Jeffs, Smithtown Bay, Eaton's Neck, Huntington, and then our side, 24, 26, Sherwood Island off there on the beaches. This time of year, you can find them, you know, in scattered depths. I would say from 30 all the way to 80. Guys that are fishing, you know, deep water, you know, it's not a lot of action, but it tends to be quality fish. You tend to find more keepers this time of year. And there are some mackerel around, which is pretty cool. Guys are doing well on those, drifting Scotty rigs that we sell, or sabikis. It seems like they're not that shallow. They definitely are in the deeper water reefs. So when you're drifting for fluke, I would definitely put out a sabiki out, or even when you're porgy fishing. And even if you do catch some, a lot of them are smaller. You can live them for fluke while you're drifting. It's a really good bait to find some good fish. Thanks and good luck.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there. Lots of activity, whether you want to tuna fish, striper fish, bottom fish, you've got options. If you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of what we offer, covering all the fishing from Delaware to Maine, all angling disciplines. It's the best $30 you can spend in fishing. You're going to get 12 paper issues, you're going to get 26 digital issues, you're going to get digital access to all of our back issues and both of our other editions. You really can't go wrong. But if you go to the website and you're still not interested, which is hard to believe, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube, and hit that little bell thing down there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.